One great executive could be life-changing to a company. It's like winning the lottery. Matter of fact, a few years ago, I read a book by Patrick Lencioni, phenomenal author, wrote a book titled 5 Temptations of a CEO. He said the following: most CEOs, executives, you can replace it, choose status over results, choose popularity over accountability. They're afraid to hold people accountable, so they just want to be popular and liked by everybody. Number 3, certainty over clarity, harmony over conflict. Again, they want everybody to get along. They do not want conflict. And last but not least, invulnerability over trust. So today in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the 20 rules of being an effective executive. If you value added this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let's get right into it. I read a book a few years ago talking about what type of employee that gets started with Fortune 500 companies that eventually ended up being a CEO, what those employees that eventually became CEOs had in common. The number one quality of future CEOs was they were reliable. Whether they worked at the lowest position, whether they were working middle management or director, they were reliable. Reliable too as an executive. Reliable as an executive isn't just to your boss or CEO or the board, but it's to the people you work with and to your peers. If I'm in a room, okay, when one thing breaks upstairs and we're doing our quarterly huddle this last Monday and there's 9 executives in a room, one executive that's not reliable bleeds their work into their peers. So the peers are like, oh my God, again, this guy breaks something, I gotta do it now, right? But a reliable executive, they all look at him and say, he's got this. I know for a fact he's got this. If you need anything, let us know, but I know you got it. The team knows it's gonna get done, the boss, the CEO knows it's gonna get done, and their peers knows that's gonna get done. The number one, in my opinion, is being reliable. Number 2, don't know why. A great executive, you know what they do? They duplicate themselves, meaning whatever they do, all of a sudden you work with them for 3 months, that person's disciplined, they get things done on time, their deadlines are on time, their project management is on time, they show up on time, their attitude is good, they look good, they present themselves very well. And so there's a concept of duplication. There's an element of people getting better when they're managed and led by a very effective executive. If you look at somebody and they'll get started with you and you'll have a conversation with them and say, okay, I'm curious, you've been here now for 2 years. Yes. How many people have gotten better that work directly to you? What do you mean? Tell me who works directly with you that you coach, that you took them from a 6 to a 7.5. Tell me who you took from a 7 to an 8, from a 5 to a 7. Who? If you can't find people around them, that is not an effective executive. That person could be good for process. That person could be good for thinking. That person could be good for strategy, but that person is not good at duplicating themselves. Great executives, somehow, some way, almost always duplicate other people who eventually end up becoming great executives. Number 3, great executives are great coaches. Somehow, some way they challenge you, they push you, they kick your ass, but they do it in a way that you love them, you like them. You walk away saying, I don't know what it is about this guy, man. He gets me going every time, but I freaking love working for this guy. There was a book written a few years ago titled $1 Trillion Coach about a man named Bill Campbell, Silicon Valley. When this guy died at his funeral, rumor has it 3 founders of $3 trillion companies. 3 companies, each were $1 trillion companies. The founder showed up at his funeral, and every time people talked about this guy, he's like, man, I'd be sitting next to him. He would tell me, you're not doing enough this. What are you complaining about this? You chose to be a leader. Why do you always make it? You told me you wanted to be. It's like, oh my God, man, this guy's always challenging me. No matter what, he's always kicking my ass to get better. It's like freaking amazing, but come on, man. But there's that element, right? You can do more. You can do a little bit more. You can do a little bit more. You can do a little bit more. That tough yet likable executive that's constantly challenging you for whatever reason, they get the best out of their people. Number 4, this is not an easy one to do, but a lot of great executives are good at this. It's very simple. So let's just say the executive wants to hire new team members, a business analyst, okay? You bring a tech lead. You bring a person that's going to be an Android, iOS lead or whatever they're going to be doing, right? But they have people they're going to be reporting to, or they have people reporting to them. And 5, 6, 7 people interview this person. Great. We think this is going to be, we did the test, strength finder, everything good. All right, make him the offer. He starts in 2 weeks. Comes day 1. Week and a half goes by. This guy's not going to work out. Why not? It's just not going to work out. Why? Culturally, this is not a fit. I'm telling you right now. Everybody that's around them, they say, His anxiety level is at the highest level. Everybody feels like they work for them. It's like so bossy, and the culture and the way they speak. So it's a little bit of speaking down. I didn't see this in the interview process, but this is not going to work out. We just have to make a decision. It's better for a different company, not us. And they'll sit down and say, sorry, this is not going to work out. We wish you nothing but the very best, but this is not a fit. They're able to do that faster rather than later. And according to a firm called Cornerstone, they said 74% of executives agree that swift termination of underperformers positively impact team morale and productivity. These people can go away, maybe say bad things about the company, but the leader cannot walk on eggshells knowing that person's not going to be a good fit for the company. They make the decision, and you have to respect that for great executives. Number 5, great executives have great people skills, and they know how to have the tough conversations in a way where you don't walk away hating the person. You have to have great people skills. Those who don't have great people skills, sometimes they rub people the wrong way, and they avoid conflicts. They're like, oof, man, I just know I'm going to say something. It's not going to work out. I'm not going to do it. But like, listen, hey, Johnny, Mary, we got to have a conversation. What's that? You've been telling me for the last week you're going to hit this deadline. It hasn't hit. You've made one too many promises right now. What's going on here? What's the issue? How many more times is this going to happen? Because if it goes the way it's going right now, it's not going to work out. We like you. Culturally, we feel you're a fit. Your personality, people like your attitude. You're a teammate. You're always going out of your way to want to help out. But this is the date you gave me. You haven't hit it. What's going on? It's not going to work like this. They'll bring them in and have the tough conversations without avoiding wanting to have the conversation. Similar to what Patrick Lencioni at the beginning said what? He said harmony over conflict. They're not afraid of having conflict. It's going to happen, especially in startup or smaller businesses where it's more pressure type. Sometimes in bigger companies, one can hide for a few months and no one will know about it. You cannot hide in a small company. So great executives will come in straight up, have a conversation with you and tell you there's a problem. Next one is kind of weird because, as an executive, you're moving up, right? Like, hey, you were an employee, then you became a manager, and then you became, whatever, and then all of a sudden now you're a director, now you're a VP, now you're a C-suite executive, and you have a group of people that are reporting to you, working with them, right? The best ones that I've found, the best executives that I've found that continue to grow, no matter how much they learn, they're still learning. It's constant. Their level of curiosity about learning with more information, it's constant. It doesn't matter whether their salary grew, their bonus grew, their responsibilities grew, whatever that's growing with them, they're still like, hey, I read this the other day that said to follow them, and they recommended this book and this. I want to pick up this book, and I saw, what if we start doing X, Y, Z? And we haven't done this. I want you to look at the website. What if we moved? Look at what these guys are doing over. It's constant, like curiosity of wanting to learn. And they build other people on their teams that are curious to constantly want to find ways to improve the company. But the best executives are constantly curious and wanting to find ways to improve. This one we rarely recognize, but it's so evident when you're working in a high-pressure type of environment, startups. Harvard Business Review once said proactive executives are 43% more likely to achieve successful outcomes. So proactive, reactive. Don't get me wrong. A lot of things you're going to do as a business owner is reactive. Hey, guess what? Stock market just did this. That person just fired us. Interest rates just went. That's reactive. We're going to be in that mode as well. But the best executives are proactive to say, hey, what would happen if all of a sudden XYZ were to go down? Well, we don't have a solution for that. So what's the backup for the backup? Never thought about it that way. Let's have a quick meeting. So what if we did this? And I thought about this the other day. And what if we go get this company that gives us a backup for this? That's a great idea. All right. So what events do we have coming up? Tom had a meeting the other day and he said, hey, no matter what we do, we have to always be 90 days, 6 months in advance of what events are coming up. So what do we have going up in 90 days? Okay, great. What's coming up? What events do we have coming up? And what do we need to negotiate a year from now or 2 years from now? Right now, we're negotiating contracts for the vault in 2026, right? So the ability to go ahead and be proactive and then to know what to put in the contract of what if there's a force majeure event that we can get out of it instead of not putting it against, you're being proactive. And what if we all of a sudden something were to happen and we need an insurance policy to protect against this? This is our proactive thinking. The best executives are very proactive. Next one is very interesting because sometimes you'll be in a meeting and there could be a feud going back and forth. No, we should do this. No, we should do that. No, we should do this. Sometimes the best executives know how to eliminate emotional decisions by purely using data. And they can say, listen, guys, I get it. We're going back and forth. Bobby, can you pull up the numbers? What happened the last time we invested $1 million into this, branch instead of $1 million into this branch? different. Yeah, last time we put up $1 million. These guys made us $2.8 million on $1 million. These guys made us $2.2 million on. Yeah, who was running the company at the time? This guy was. Who was running it here? Is that person still there? No. So maybe the 2.8 we can't judge based on why is that person. Okay, but based on this, I think it's best we do this, that, right? Hey, we're thinking about putting $10 million into ads this month to promote such and such, event that's coming up. Okay, can we pull up and see which one performs the best? I'd like to see Google. I'd like to see TikTok. I'd like to see Snap. I'd like to see Facebook, Instagram. I'd like to see LinkedIn. What is our ROAS on all of these things? So why was that one lowest? Can you pull up the top 10 campaigns we ran? Out of the top 10 campaigns we ran, which one of them were on LinkedIn? Which one of them was on Instagram? Which one of them was on Meta? Which one of them was on got it. Okay. So here's what we're going to do with this money. Based on what? It's all data. So then one can't be all emotional and say, well, how come my budget is smaller? It's just purely data driven, guy. We gave these guys $2 million last time. They turned into 6.8. We gave you $2 million. You lost $400,000. It's data driven. Okay. So emotion is eliminated based on a lot of times of data. Of course, you have to be gentle. Of course, you have to respect people that they're doing their jobs if they're doing an effective job. But at the end of the day, the best executives rely a lot on data. So let's just say you're an executive and you got a handful of people that are reporting to you. And one of the guys that's been with you for 6 years and they're going through you just gave them a promotion. And with this promotion, they've not been performing at the level they would at this promotion that was given. At the previous level, they were performing and they were hitting their bonuses, but not at this next job. So you're sitting there and instead of automatically being like, oh my God, this person's not working. We got to fire him. Let's go, hey, HR, we got to get a new person. Da, 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 da. You sit there and you say to yourself, is there any way we can invest into this person? Have we done a good job as an executive coach to this person? If the company has an executive coach, have they worked with an executive coach? Have you encouraged or hired an executive coach? But have you sent them to a program for 3-5 days to go and become better at whatever their job? Has that happened? Rather than finding someone that's been with you for 5-6 years and say, no, write them off, we got to move on. Instead, you sit there and you say, look, we got to invest into our guys. And an executive will go fight for one of their best guys to say, I want to invest $5,000, $10,000, $3,000 into this person going to XYZ event to get better. And I'm going to send them with another person. Typically, we'll send them in threes because when you send them in threes, they're not going to be drinking because one of them is going to keep the other two disciplined. We're going to send these three to go become a better executive. We're going to send them to the, Ritz-Carlton training. We're going to send them to this training over here on Crucial Conversation. We're going to send them over here to XYZ training. But great executives are also always finding ways to invest into their people to get better. Their mindset is always about how can I make this next person better? A lot of people that are watching this have a lot of questions, say, man, I want to be a better executive, but can I get access to you directly? Can I ask somebody that's an expert on what they do and how to get better as an executive? Yes. Download the app Minnect. If you cold email me, less than 1% chance I'm going to respond. If you cold DM anybody, less than 3%. Cold Twitter is less than 5%. Cold LinkedIn is less than 8%. But if you ask a question on Minnect and you pay for it, 94% response rate. I answer in audio. If you've never used the app, give it a try. Download the app. Here's a QR code. Ask me a question, and let's process some issues on how you can become a better executive. This next one is very interesting because as a person, you've been around for a while, and the way you communicate with a person you report to may be different than the way you communicate with a person that's a coworker, maybe different than the way you communicate to the person that reports to you. But regardless, great executives understand how to communicate with all. They'll say, well, this person likes for you to send an email update every Friday night so that person knows what happened for the weekend. This is how they want the update to be. No problem. I'm going to send the email the way I send it to you, not the way I send it at the previous company. If this is how you want the email to be and these are the data that you like to measure, I'm going to send it to you exactly the way you want it because that's how this person wants to communicate. Hey, guys, you find ways to move and challenge and hold your guys accountable, right? But regardless, the level of communication with great executives is smooth this way, is smooth this way, is smooth this way, is smooth with vendors, with partners, with investors, with a board, knowing you can embarrass your CEO. So you report to a CEO, the CEO is reporting to the chairman of the board, and you're sitting there, you know how to keep safe face for the CEO. They know all of those different dynamics of all the personalities involved as an executive. Many times with the fear of losing your job, you want to make sure you're indispensable, irreplaceable. And by the way, that used to be a thought many of us had back in the days where it's like, do something that people are going to need you forever, right? And then when you think about it that way, that's the fastest way to never get promoted. Because if nobody else knows to do what you do, why would they promote you? They need you. Instead, you're like, no, I got 3 people that can do my job. I got 2 people that can do my job. Never thought about it that way before. So a great executive is always working on the next 2, 3 people that can do their job. So later on they can go and say, man, every time this guy works, he's got 2, 3 people that can do what he does. We're ready to promote him 2.5 years later to the next job for this guy because he's done such a good job replacing himself. So the best executives, and even you can look at this number with research done by Center for Creative Leadership, shows that 40% of executives believe not being indispensable leads to better team empowerment. The idea is, I have other people that can now do what I do. That's what great executives always think about. You ready? Great executives. Hardcore urgency. Hardcore. Like you're feeling the urgency. Oh my God, let's go. Driving. But at the same time, they flirt with patience. And how you do those two together, it's kind of weird, right? We got to go get this done, da-da-da-da. But we're patient long term. How can one be both? You don't have a choice. You have to be both. If the vision of a company is big and you want to develop people and develop different projects and systems, sometimes it takes patience. But if you don't have urgency, your team can get casual as well. So you have to have a balance of both. Urgency plus patience. Not easy to do, but it's required for great executives who end up leading great teams. So I've hired a lot of executives in the last, however many years, 15 years. When you hire executives, you'll see how they get started. It's very interesting. Some of them will come in, they interview very well. But then once they get started, they wait to see what you do with them, right? And, they'll do enough and they'll go here and they'll go build friends with this person. And immediately they're kind of like making sure everybody on their team likes that you don't fire anybody. It's like, no, I'm here. I got you. I understand your pain. Don't worry. I understand these guys don't come from my bank. They kind of do one of those things. And they put like a layer between you. Like, let's just say that person was reporting to me, Johnny was reporting to me, but I bring you in and you're here. Now that person reports to you. Sometimes some executives distance Johnny from me, an element of shielding, right? Sometimes executives come in and they're very much of a building relationship, but they're very inquisitive of asking me questions. I had a guy that we just hired, executive, came in with a list of 30, 40 questions. Okay, where can I get my time to ask you some questions? Boom, got it. All right, so when it comes on to da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, okay. When it comes to da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, and why do you da-da-da-da-da? Because of ba-ba-ba-ba. And who does that? Okay, got it. And how about this? I'm sitting there, I'm like, whoa. And so I went and he did that with direct reports. And he went and did that with his peers. And he went and all of a sudden I'm like, what a very unique, I really like the way he did it. Everybody came afterwards and they're like, you know how many questions this guy asked me? I'm like, yeah, ask me questions. That's how it's supposed to be done, right? You're somebody that's constantly coming into our organizations. Executives who engage in strategic questioning can boost team innovation by up to 40%. According to Harvard Business Review. Some of the best executives ask the best questions when they first join a company. Every great executive I know is a great negotiator. On behalf of who? On behalf of the company. So guess what? If I'm sitting there and I'm going through terms, hey, Pat, I noticed when I came here, I looked through all the old contracts. I went through the 18 contracts that we have. I know for a fact 5 of them were paying too much because the previous company have contacts. I'm going to call and save us around $200,000, $300,000 for the year. The other ones I'm going to call and I'm going to ask the following terms. Are you okay if I ask anything? Is there anything I need to know about these partners that we have and vendors that we have before I call them that's a direct relationship with you? Yeah, okay, so let me tell you, this guy's this guy this. Okay, don't call those 3 because I negotiated. Okay, got it. You need to know about this. Call everybody else. Can I push you on the 3 that you said don't call? Is there any, would you trust me making the call? Yeah, if you call it, can you also have the other person with you as well? Pat, honestly, I don't mind doing it for the first month or 2 until I gain your trust, but can I get to a point that I don't have to have anybody else on this call with me where you can trust me to negotiate these contracts? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. I understand that I need to earn your trust, but once I get there, I kind of want to be left alone because I've negotiated multi-billion-dollar contracts. I respect it. Okay, thank you so much. Boom, they go. And then they come back and they'll put a sheet and they'll say, I just saved you $389,000. I just saved you $1.2 million here. I just saved you $68,000 here. And what they're trying to say is, you're underpaying me and I'm very good at what I do. You know what I say internally? I freaking love it. Keep doing this and you get a raise. But anyways, the best executives are very, very good negotiators. All right, so you'll sit with somebody, you're doing an interview, the person sells you and you're like, this guy's gonna be ridiculous, they're amazing. Holy freaking, that's awesome. This guy, guys, we got a rock star. We're gonna win a championship with this guy. And then they come in, they talk all that dirt to you. They got you all excited and nothing happened. You're so disappointed. What is the meaning of executive? They execute. If you're a true executive and you come in, you tell us you're going to do what you're going to do, then execute. So you keep the reputation of your title of being a great executive. Deliver on your promises because that's what great executives do. All right, so you got 5 different executives here, okay, or people. You ask them to do something. One, I have to ask 7 times. One, I have to ask 5 times. One, I have to ask 3 times. This guy I have to ask 1 time. The guy I ask 1 time is part of the 1 club. The 1 club is you only have to ask him 1 time for something to get done. I was raised by a person who was a 1 club. From the day I was born till today, if he tells me he's going to do something, all he has to say is 1 time. That's my dad. That pressure from a man like that coming down to me, I hold my guys accountable when I say 1 time. Okay? With my kids, if you're ever with my boys, specifically with my boys, I'll say, Dylan, 1 time, Dylan. 1 time, Dylan. Tico, 1 time. I got you, Daddy. I got you. 1 time. What does 1 time mean? Get ready. We're going to go to dinner. Get ready. We're going to go to practice. But 1 time. I don't want to ask you 5 times. Some of the easiest people to work with, they're part of the 1-time community, especially executives. By the way, if you're not an executive watching this, you want to be one day, if you're part of the 1 club that you only have to be told 1 time, you're eventually going to end up being a leader and executive. It's a very, very valuable asset to a company. The concept of being reasonable, okay? So we're sitting there, it's like, okay, guys, I need you to hit the deadline on this XYZ. And we need this thing to be done by September 30th. Pat, may I? Yes. Okay, so you want us to hit this by September 30th? Yes. You realize we have this other 3 projects that you've asked us to do. Can I show this on the board? Yes. One of them is due this Friday, okay? Which we have committed this many hours to it. The second one you've asked us is due September 15th. And if you want us to do it September 30th, I'm only gonna have 2 weeks after the 15th to deploy my team on this project. I just don't see us being able to hit that date unless if you want me to delay these and put this project you just brought up that you want September 30th ahead of it. Unless if we're gonna bring other resources to help us out, I just don't see us being able to hit that respectfully, I'd love to get it done for you. I don't see us being able to hit it by that date. A great executive has the ability to be reasonable and say, okay, no, I still want you to finish this, and I need you to finish this. So if you can't do it September 30th, by when can you hit it? Can I get back to you by today afternoon at 5 o'clock? Yes, no problem. Okay, give it to me, I'll get back to you. 5 o'clock, we can get it done by October 14th. Any chance you can do it on October 7th? October 7th, I'll strive for, but I know I can deliver it to you October 14th. They're reasonable enough to have that conversation with them to say, perfect, you got it, go after it. Great executives have the ability to reason. In an environment that's very much of a pressure environment where it's like a lot's going on and it's constant, the concept of having fun is very important. Playing loose sometimes is good. Playing too tight, walking on eggshells, it's tough. The more the expectation in a startup of go, 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 you got to have breathing room for people to have fun. And by the way, fun, I don't mean being sloppy, not hitting deadlines, I'm just saying people ought to be able to have fun. And sometimes the best executives know how to kind of bring the pressure down and say, guys, I understand what's going on. We got this. Why don't you guys do this? I'll stay with you. Here, a couple more hours. I'm going to order food. You guys want to do PF Chang's? What would you like to do? You guys do your thing. I'm going to go there. Hang tight. We're going to do this. And I got you. Friday, we're going to go this and we're going to do XYZ. But that ability to have fun allows people to deal with a higher pressure type environment. If you don't have that fun, it's tough to sustain for a very long time. In any environment that you're going and you have things that you're working with that are tough, that sometimes people go, there's no way we're going to hit this. It's impossible. Great leaders and executives know how to bring hope in. Hope is the idea of we can pull this off based on XYZ. Great leaders give that hope, that feeling of excitement, enthusiasm that eventually everything's gonna work itself out. If a person's working their tails off behind closed doors, they know how to bring hope to say, I'm telling you, long-term, I got you. Keep doing what you're doing, okay? You're gonna have a good career here if you do XYZ. They know how to also balance that pressure with the hope as well, where folks know long-term things are gonna work out. Even a motivator needs a motivator. Right? Think about somebody that's motivating others. They also need to be motivated. Behind closed doors, some of the best executives have coaches they work with outside of what they're doing because they're always in a business of also them getting better. So it doesn't matter if they're part of a mastermind, if they're going to events, if they're working on themselves, they're constantly in the game of improving as an executive because that's what they're presenting to everybody else. So some of the best executives out there have coaches behind closed doors that nobody knows about. If you got value out of this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If you've never seen the video about the consulting industry and how the philosophy changed over the years and now it's a $1 trillion industry, it's a must watch. Click here to watch that video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.